Welcome to Key Conversations, where you get to connect with the best of the music business, unlocking the secrets to exploding your music career, presented by In the Key of Success. I'm your host, Cheryl B. Engelhardt. The conversations you're about to hear are between our special guest and participants of my MX4 course, the Marketing and Branding, Money-Making, Mentorship Mastermind for Musicians. They are singers, songwriters, composers, producers, and artists just like you, asking their burning questions of our experts while transforming their careers over 6 weeks. If you think this could be you, check out mx4course.com to schedule a free half-hour coaching call with me to see if we'd be a good fit. So, let's get started. I'm just going to dive in right now and introduce Judy Stakee, who is calling in from Los Angeles. And Judy and I met through some songwriters that I had collaborated with. And at the time, Judy was...
Well, I have quite a few milestones. And three of them at the very beginning is that I only worked 3 jobs when I first got into this industry. And I've always been a publisher, music publisher. So I am the champion of the song and the songwriter. And my philosophy is that everything starts with a song. In fact, I really don't think you can brand yourself until you actually have your songs. That's where the branding comes. That's where you figure out who you are and what you want to say. So the 3 milestones in growing in this business were I got to work for Arista Music. I got to work for Clive Davis, which was an amazing, amazing period of time because I really learned how to be an executive at Arista. Clive really knew how to run a company and make sure that everybody was communicating, all the departments, and so that was a great milestone. And then the next one was going to Screen Gems Music, which was a smaller company, which is bigger than Arista, but still a small catalog, and it was the Brill Building. So it was formed when the Monkees show, it was done with Screen Gems Productions, and so they started Screen Gems Music, and it was Barry Mann, Cynthia Weil, Carole King, and Jerry Goffin were like the foundation of that catalog, and it was really great because I was in an office with studios. We were above EMI Records, so we had studios downstairs and studios upstairs, and I got to really be in the studio with the songwriters. So I got to see how they wrote and what the process was. And then I went to Warner Chappell, which was my the other milestone. And I was there for 20 years. And that was like being at the Bloomingdale's of retail. I mean, just like I had a million songs. I had offices all over around the world, and I had resources that I'd never had before so that I could really develop and manage songwriters. Mm. And then professionally, my proudest moments are the ones that, I have so many proud moments. I mean, Cheryl Crow is a proud moment because she was my first. She was my first in that, we were 2 young girls, and it was like, God, I think you're great. And she was like, okay, what do we do? And how do we make me not a backup singer? And it was every day we met, and it was just so much fun. It was like being with your best friend. Joy Williams was another really great milestone for me. She had one half of the Civil Wars, the Civil Wars, and she's got a great solo career as well. And just where she was, and when I met her, and she wasn't going to be an artist anymore, and she had done 3 Christian albums, and she was really tired, and she didn't see a way to really have a future if she wasn't in Christian music. So we worked a couple years together, and she built up a catalog and figured out who she was and what she wanted, and so that was very. I mean, it was very empowering for her. And then another example would be Julian Benetta, who Julian is the producer and writer of all the One Direction and Fifth Harmony. I mean, he is Simon Cowell's right-hand guy, and as far as production and so forth. And I met him when he was a little kid, but I signed him when he was 18 years old, and he wasn't writing songs. He was just doing beats. So I was writing. So, teaching him and putting him with the right songwriters to collaborate and so forth, he grew into an amazing songwriter, producer, and very proud of him. So there's just a few things, a few people.
Yeah. Awesome. And then just to sort of get us to today, what what sort of changes and shifts did you make, and what's working for you now that is, I mean, clearly right now you've got your own company, the Judy Stakee Company. You do a lot of songwriting workshops. You have a new book coming out soon. And it's an amazing career move, but it's also so different from the conglomerate, the huge Warner Chappell world. So what had that shift, and sort of where are you now?
Well, what happened was that, the whole world changed. I mean, you guys know, all of you guys know that, in about 2004, 2005, the whole world changed. And I blame it on really like the perfect storm, okay, the Bermuda Triangle, is that the internet was all grown up. Even in like the mortgage industry, Toyota, all of those, you can't get away with anything, everybody was responsible now. So with the internet growing up and everybody connected, business changed completely the way we did it. Mm. The second thing is that 9/11 finally caught up to us. And the money that we started spending on the war and not putting into entertainment or any things like that really, it crashed a lot of industries. It really did. And the fact that we just didn't prepare for that. There was all the gates closed with all the record companies because no more money was coming in. And so that's what really happened. And so what happened was that there was no more room for development. Mm. It was, if you had a hit song for Britney Spears and you were going to make $100,000, then we love you. But if you're developing and trying to make it and looking for any help, we're not giving you any help anymore. And that was the difference. And my job had always been in the industry that I was the one that helped. I guided, I developed, I taught, I inspired. And my philosophy is that we don't have songwriters. If the songwriters don't write hit songs, then we don't have artists. We don't get to go in and produce. You don't have a tour. You don't get to do anything until you have the songs. Mm-hmm. So I left corporate America. Now it's going on 6 years. And I would have never, I loved my job. I loved the industry. It was such a great place. But when they started cutting off and scrutinizing me about how I developed writers, it was just too much. They wanted their hand in that, corporately, and I couldn't take it. So I left and started my own business. And what I do now is I manage, and I manage a writer, producer, and I manage one at a time. I manage an artist to develop. And then once they're developed, then I go on and find somebody else. But I only do it really one at a time. I produce songwriting workshops. There's a basic that's 8 week long. And then after that, you can take the intermediate, which is 8 weeks long. And in the basics, you really learn my methodology. I've come up with my own curriculum and my own language. I found it much easier if songwriters, there's a language that everybody understands, so that when you're critiquing a song or you're trying to develop, that we all understand each other. So so that's what the basics is about. It's about knowing that the voice, your songs consist of your voice, your melody, and your lyric. And what does it entail to make each of those great? Mm-hmm. I have a publishing company. What else do I do? I wrote a book. Where's my book? I wrote a book called The Songwriter's Survival Guide. It's out in about 2 weeks. It's a play-by-play, 12 chapters of what do you need to put in place to become a great songwriter. Starting with you've got to write songs. Mm-hmm. To if you got it, to if you've never demoed before, what would be the basic? How would you start? To how do you self-motivate yourself? How do you protect yourself? How do you go to a meeting? How do you lead your own company? How do you become the CEO? So there's and then each chapter has a true story of one of my clients that goes along with it. So awesome. That'll be out very soon. Yay. And I do on my website. I do a door-to-door series, which is I go out and interview songwriters about their process and what it takes, what it took for them to make it. I just interviewed Kevin Kadish. Actually, was released today. He wrote All About That Bass. He was my songwriter for about 11 years. So, but there's John Shanks and Bonnie McKee and Shelley Piken, and there's a whole bunch. And then there's tutorials on just basic publishing questions. I do like 2-minute tutorials, like how to choose a PRO, or how to write for film and TV, how to get a song cut, just little things like that. So
awesome.
So that's what I do.
Yeah, you cover a lot of bases. So you're coming into this particular installation of the MX4 at a perfect time. We're in our second week here. And we're sort of getting clear on what our messaging is, sort of the big picture stuff, and then we get into specifics. How does that relate to the visuals and the branding and the demographics and all that stuff? So that's sort of what we're going to be tackling this week. But I know that everyone has sort of looked you up and researched you and gone over your website with a fine-tooth comb. So I'm going to sort of open up the floor to them. And if you guys have questions, we'll start with one from each person. We'll sort of go around in a circle and see how many we can get done in like the next, 30 minutes or so, and see where we get to. So I'm going to just randomly be the teacher who picks on someone. Perry, do you have a question for Judy?
Sorry. Yes, I do have a question. It's sort of a general question, but on a day when you feel like the odds are stacked against you some way, somehow, how do you stay positive?
Well, there's two ways you can handle this, okay? I think I would put things in my place that would help me stay positive. I would have somebody I could call. That would be the first thing I would do. If I got down on myself and really needed the strength to go on, I would call my best friend and say, talk me out of this. Come on, talk me out of this, I would go listen to music. I would go watch a movie that maybe would inspire me, But the other thing, Perry, also is that so many times we want to get out of that bad feeling. We want to, oh my God, we're feeling down and, we've got to keep positive and we've got to keep positive. There's also a real benefit to actually going into the feeling of, this is getting hard. I'm not sure I can make it. Because you're a songwriter, right? Artist?
Yeah.
Right. So those, we don't want to discount those feelings. I know we want to always be positive and always be going for it and always get it. But at the same time, if you're feeling like that, you may want to just sit with it and integrate it into you instead of trying to get rid of it. So you go through the pain instead of getting rid of it outside of you. Okay? Because it is hard. And you know what? Sometimes you have to actually give yourself the break of like, whoa, this is hard. It's hard to stay positive. It's hard to keep up. I'm going to get back there. But right now, I just need a break because it's energetically, you are keeping yourself up. Sometimes you need to sit down in order to go back up. Okay?
Got it.
Love that. Awesome. Great question, Perry. Thanks. All right. That was pretty laser. Good laser answer. Let's go to Deborah.
Hi, Judy. I'm Deborah. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are on how important it is to be part of a songwriting community of peers and also people that you can look up to and sort of aspire to.
Oh, I think it's so important. I really, really do. It takes a village to raise a child. Mm-hmm. So to be in a community where you can trade and you can barter and you can help and you can inspire each other, and that's what it's all about. Because a community assimilates the real life. When you're in a community, there's always, it's interesting. I have quite the community now after teaching 18 basic workshops in the last few years. So my Christmas party now is, 120 people or so. It's a nice size. But it was interesting because, and I'm like the mom, right? But it's really interesting, like the different characters, the brothers and sisters and like, and so forth. And like the older ones and the younger ones. And they all kind of help each other. And some of them like pick on each other and a couple of them fight together. You get that dynamic, but that's what life is all about. Again, I think it's really important to be with other people who are doing this. I think it's a lonely job. I write also, and I do things alone, but I would much rather be with people. I think that I think having a mirror in the room, having somebody that can trigger you, all of that is a gift. Mm. So I would absolutely. And you're here in LA?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are you BMI or ASCAP?
I'm picking one. I'm probably going to pick ASCAP. I'm just now coming out with my debut CD.
Okay. So go join ASCAP, and they have an expo. That Cheryl and I were just at the expo together.
Yeah.
And, they have a lot workshops all the time and, all that. So does BMI, too. So that's a really great place to start.
Yeah. Great. Thank you.
My workshop, there's the LA Songwriting School, that they teach songwriting school stuff. And yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
That's the people thing is so huge. It's so easy to get into the like heart on sleeve. I'm an artist. I want to do my alone thing. But like, and some musicians I know are really introverts, but so many that I know are not. And it is, like you said, it's a lonely career unless you have to make an effort to get out there. And this is that, I mean, honestly, it's one of the reasons I created this course. I get to see other songwriters doing what they love every week. Like, I look forward to this. This is like my social time. That's why I'm like, yes, bring a glass of wine. It's okay. You know, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. It's 8 o'clock here. So that's really great. And we actually get into accountability partners and like why that's really important. I have one of my best friends from high school has her own business as well. She's an art therapist, but we have an accountability call. We've had it for every single week for an hour for the past year and a half straight.
Between you and your friend, you have an accountability call?
Oh yeah. This is one of the things that has kept us like from derailing. And it's one of the things that we put in place in this course. Like, you will find that person that, and it doesn't matter if they're in the industry or not. It's just that you're both up to something that sometimes it requires someone else to just be out there knowing that someone's going to say next week, hey, did you do that thing you said you were going to do? Cool. You did. Awesome. And then acknowledge you. Or no, I didn't do it. Why not? How did you get stopped? How can I help? What's missing? What's going to take for it to get done by tomorrow? That it just keeps wheels moving. So yeah, she and I had to cancel tomorrow. So we had it today instead. Like we've had it once a week for literally 16 months, I think. So it's been.
Deborah, that's also a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, Carrie, that will keep you, if you want someone, to keep you going. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll do that too. But I mean, you guys already sort of paired up a little bit throughout the week, and that's just the seed that I've been planting. So you just got a sneak peek of like a couple weeks from now. But yeah, awesome. Let's go to Favor.
Hi, Judy.
Hi, Favor.
I guess I'm very honored to be in this call. Thank you very much, Cheryl and Judy. For artists such as ourselves, as independents, I'll use myself as an example. I have a full package. I have a video. I have a finished product, 7 songs, original music. I worked with a producer who was a former Sony songwriter to do the songs, so they came out really well. Had a 7-time Grammy-nominated mixer who did that work. Just an awesome team pulled together. I was very fortunate to work with some great people. What do I do next?
Such a good question. I love it.
Okay, so there are 2 avenues there's 3 maybe. So one of the avenues is you're either performing. Are you a performer?
I am a performer and a singer-songwriter.
You have a show?
I have a set. I have a catalog of covers that I mix in with my own tunes. I do neo soul and R&B. I also do popular and some classics. Whatever I need to do, I'm prepared to do that.
Okay, so I think that there's 3 ways you can break yourself these days, okay? I think that you either have to perform. I think you have to have an act that people want to come see because that's how you sell, okay?
Okay.
Or you can break yourself through film and television. You can gear your stuff, if it's, singer-songwriter, you can gear your stuff so that you could actually break. Christina Perri broke through film and television. Okay. Her song was on Dancing with the Stars. The next day, somebody at Atlantic called her. She was signed. That was it. But her stuff is really film and television friendly. Okay, so that's a really great place to go. And then there's also the YouTube, social media. If you have a video out there that's going to attract attention. But something has to attract attention, okay? There's got to be either a song, for film and television that sparks, that everybody hears. There's got to be a show that people start talking about, or a video. But there has to be some story, something. So if you want to perform, then you might want to find, a club that you could do a residency in, for every Monday night for 2 months or something. And you might want to really enlist the help of, doing all originals and maybe just a couple covers. For one of my acts that I'm developing right now, she spent a year in the studio recording and writing and doing all that. She'd never been in a band before. I mean, she's performed, but she's never really been in a band before or anything like that. And we have to get her a band. But I hired a choreographer, movement coach for her to go into a studio so that she could start, moving with her songs and knowing, like, you know, where she was going to put her hands and if she was going to, you know, walk to one side of the stage or whatever she was going to do. But that really helped her in presenting the material.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I've done that.
You've done that, great.
I did. A coach. Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what, I mean, those are the three things you need to do. I mean, you can put them up on your website. Now, if you have the money, you can hire somebody to do marketing for you, to do, marketing where they would take, like, where your music would be good for, and then they would go blanket, you know, all those sites to put it to. But again, without hearing it, it's a little hard to give exactly what you need to do. I just know with my artists, it's like I either have to break them through film and television. I have to have a video on YouTube that's going to, like, create attention and a buzz, or I have to get them in a club and a line outside the door.
Okay.
Okay. So it depends on what career you want.
That's awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Great, really great question, Favorite. And we're gonna dig into more of that. Actually, our next interview is with Ariel Hyatt of Cyber PR. She's like,
freaking-tastic. And as far as, like, the marketing, all of that stuff, she'll get into all of that, you know, the nitpicks of that. Yeah.
Yeah, she's awesome. So she's scheduled for next week. I found out like an hour ago. I'm super excited. So yeah, like Judy just said, we'll dig into that particular avenue. So I'm really psyched about that.
I'm not a marketing genius, so I don't know all the ins and I just know how, like a general. That's where I go with mine.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not going to encroach on and try to do another question here. Just tossing this in as we go forward. I'm in St. Louis. We're very, very disconnected from the industry. Individually, we have some people who've gone ballistic here, but as far as an artist, it's very, very, very tight here.
That's it. The location question is good because I know not everyone is in LA and New York. Let's hold on to that. Let me get to the other people's questions and we'll come back to that because that's definitely a good. Do you need to be in LA? Can you create something else? Do you have to move? What is that? So yeah, we'll plant that seed, but let's table that for a second. Pamela and then Scott on the phone. We'll do you guys and then we'll come back around in a different order. So Pamela.
Okay. Hi Judy. How would you pitch music for film or television? Do you call the shows? How would you do it?
There's a lot of ways you can do it. If you want to call the shows, you can. You can get, there's a lot of reference stuff out there, okay, for film and television. You can call a company, the Registry, and it looks, there are these books like this. There was an A&R registry, there's a publishing registry, and they have a film and television one. And so you can buy that for, $70 or whatever it is, and it's a Bible, and it will tell you all the music supervisors and all the people to send things to. You have to do your research. You have to do your own research, okay? The other thing you can do is that you can put in, if you type into the World Wide Web, music licensing companies or sync licensing, which, sync licenses for music placement, so, those kind of tag words. You'll get companies that will come up, like Rumble Fish and Audio Socket, places like that you can actually send your songs in. They have a, like how to solicit to us. And they said, send 2 songs, tell us what, they have information, and then you send them in. And if they think that they can pitch them for film and television, email you back and go, we think this is great. We'd love to pitch this. And here's our little contract. And they're non-exclusive so that you can, and you have to remember that film and television doesn't necessarily use the best song. It's the song that drives the scene. So if you have a song that's really sounds like All I Want to Do from Cheryl Crow, okay, and they can use that because they don't want to spend for All I Want to Do, but it's got that kind of feel, then they're going to use that, okay, no matter what. So that's a great resource also, but you can call. You just have to find out, and again, be specific. If you're going to write for film and television, know what show you're going to write for, okay? Don't just blanket and go, I think for film and television. If you're going to write, then if you're going to pitch to Grey's Anatomy, then you better have watched it. You better have listened to the music, okay? And when you call up to say, I'd like to send a song, you always have to ask, how do you like to send? Do you want it on CD? Do you want it digitally? How do you like it presented? And then the other thing is that I would always tag your songs with something like, if you're sending to Grey's Anatomy, perfect for when you're tired of using the Frey song, How to Save a Life, or this could substitute for How to Save a Life, because every doctor show needs the song where the doctor tells the mom the kid's dead, and she goes into and it fades to all this music and it swells and we all cry, but they all need the song where the boyfriend breaks up with the girlfriend. They all need the montage scene where you drive from California to New York. Every movie, every show, they need all that stuff. They need the song in the bar playing in the background while two people are talking, So, but you can do it yourself. There are people out there that can help you.
Awesome. Yeah. Next week in our action week, we will be getting into a lot of Excel sheets of gathering your own data and when you first reached out, when to follow up, how to write those emails so that you're not just like, check out my music, which is like, when I get that for whatever reason, delete, like, what's the specific request? Like, what's the problem that I have that you can solve? And right. I think for every music supervisor, like, I imagine that for most of them, their problem is that they have piles like this of CDs and links, and they're just looking for that one song. And so if you say, like Judy said, this is going to replace that Frey song, blah, 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 and you did your research. I mean, I watch so much TV. It's like almost embarrassing. I write it all off all that time. That is my research time. I am listening, and I always watch the commercials. My husband wants to fast forward through the commercial. I'm like, no, because I do a lot of commercial stuff too. I have to listen to the music. But yeah, I mean, it's your research, and luckily it's fun. So that's a great question. I think that's something we're going to dive into, but you're really concise, Judy, with these answers. Sometimes I go to conferences and they can't get that out in like 4 days. So yeah, it's great. All right, we're going to stop there today. Stay tuned next week. We're going to continue to talk to Judy about songwriting, digging into that process, and really getting excited about what you are up to in your songwriting career. Please don't forget to rate and comment on iTunes and Stitcher Radio if you like this podcast. It's the best way to keep it going, get more subscribers, and continue to share this awesome information with the indie music community. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. All of the music on this podcast has been created by yours truly. The theme song is called Inevitably, written with Cameron Ernst and produced by Joey Ock. You can find all the songs, plus more information on my music career at CherylBE.com. If you want to be one of the reasons I can keep this podcast and my blog Living on Gigging going, then head to patreon.com/CBEmusic. There, you can contribute $1, $2, $5 for the creation of each of these free musician resources. Together, we can keep them coming and inspire other creative people to do what they love and do it well. Again, that's patreon.com/CBEmusic. Key Conversations is sponsored in part by Bandzoogle. They make it easy to build a beautiful website for your music. Their step-by-step system gets you online in minutes, and you can choose from hundreds of mobile-friendly themes and customize them with their easy point-and-click editor. All the features you could possibly imagine for a professional website are built in. So, because you are a Key Conversations podcast listener, you get a special 3-month free trial just for you. Go to www.inthekeyofsuccess.com/resources and click on the Bandzoogle logo to access your free extended trial.